I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes for questions. Mr. Holman, we've heard discussion about using technology to secure the border, but technology really doesn't secure the border. It allows you to see who's coming to the border. And if you've got agents tied up processing people crossing illegally, it really doesn't do anything in terms of interdiction. Is that correct?
Could I respond to the earlier remarks, sir? That was saying I did something that wasn't said at all? I think it's important we set the record straight here. I never said at the CPAC I didn't care about family separation. What I said was I didn't care about—
Mr. Chairman, was he recognized for this purpose? Is this from your time?
The chair recognizes you make it as brief as you possibly can, and I think you've already said you didn't
I've
say
never
that.
said I didn't care about family
Okay,
separation. What I
that's
said I didn't
sufficient.
care
Let me—
about being sued because I get to give a sworn statement that set the record straight.
Okay. I want to get back to some things here. When you
Mr.
have
Chairman, I'd
people—
like to enter into record this article from Newsweek.
The
Trump's ICE
gentleman's
director
not
doesn't care
recognized. The
about
gentleman's
families
not
being separated at the border. Thank you.
reclaiming my time.
Watch the tape.
It's my time. The gentleman's not recognized, reclaiming my time. Will you reset the clock? Not to 5 minutes. I think it was about 4:30. I'll just be a little more brief. Okay. The point that I was trying to make is I talked with a rancher a couple of weeks ago down at the border, and he told me that since December 28th that he had the same fence cut 77 times by people who were not being interdicted by the Border Patrol. He told me that on January 4th. That's 77 times in 6 days. If people are really concerned about coming in here to get a job, to seek asylum, why would they not want to be picked up by the Border Patrol, Mr. Holman? And be brief if you can. I've got a number of things I want to run by you.
Well, you're talking about 1.9 million gotaways. Why didn't they take advantage of the giveaway program? Because they don't want, obviously, they don't want to be fingerprinted, they don't want to be vetted. They don't want to turn themselves into the border.
Is it true that the Border Patrol charges less to the people who will wade across the river and turn themselves in than they do to the people that they try to get in here undetected?
The cartels would charge less for people that want to turn themselves in rather than get into Chicago.
And they're also financing this and hold these people making payments for 8, 10, 12 years to pay off the financing for paying the cartels to get them in?
Some, yes.
Yeah, some are doing that. The other thing that I want to point out, when you said 1.9 million gotaways, does that include people that we don't know? Or is that an estimate of the ones that we know got away, we saw them and couldn't catch them?
The known gotaways are captured on video, drone traffic, sensor traffic, or the Border Patrol sees
Is it 1.9 million known or unknown?
We don't know how many unknown, because there's large parts of the border, like Marfa sector,
Okay.
the Big Bend National Park, where there's very little technology.
I want you to be brief because I want to hit some other things. We know that in fiscal year 22-23, we had 169 known or people on the suspected terrorist watch list. Since 2020, it's 312. Mr. Holman, how many did it take to carry out the attacks on 9/11?
9.
19.
And I
19.
like to say that under the Trump administration, in 4 years, we had 11.
Okay, but it took 19 to carry out the terrorist attacks. In regard to the unaccompanied children, there's somewhere between 85,000 and 100,000 that we don't know where they are. And if it were 100, it would be a tragedy. Okay, and we're not doing anything in terms of collecting biometrics or anything like that to try to find these children. And when you've got children being brought across the border as gotaways, what purpose does that serve or potentially could serve, Mr. Holman?
Well, based on my 30 years doing investigations and trafficking, some of them are going to be in sex slavery, some will be in forced labor, some will be indentured servitude. They'll be forced to work. And
just to point out about the labor demand here, we've got the lowest labor participation rate in decades. So it's not just an issue of unemployment. By the way, Mr. Byer, I've ran a think tank, and I pretty well understand some of these economics. I've done a lot of work with Cato. I'm very disappointed in the position that you've taken, frankly, because you don't want to have illegal drugs, so it wouldn't be a problem bringing drugs across the border under the policies you guys would advocate. But in terms of labor, the Bureau of Labor Statistics changed how they count unemployment back in 2012, 2014, somewhere in that range, and stopped counting people who are no longer looking for a job. So that's one of the reasons why you have such a low unemployment rate. Mr. Holman, I want to get back to what the cartels are doing here. I asked a former drug czar if we've gone from a war on drugs to a war with drugs. It's been mentioned several times that we've had over 100,000 people die from drug overdose, and that probably about half of it is fentanyl related. Now they've added another additive to the drugs called Trank that Narcan doesn't work on. Does it appear, considering the source of the chemicals to make these drugs that are being provided to the cartels, that we may actually have a war with drugs and that these people are casualties?
I can tell you that the fentanyl doses are getting more and more serious. Overdose deaths are going to happen a lot more often. The criminal cartels are making record amounts of money now, moving narcotics between the ports of entry, smuggling people and trafficking people. And for an earlier statement that most fentanyls come through the port of entries, I disagree. We don't know what's coming between the ports of entry because 90% agents are off the line.
That's right. And my last point, I want to reiterate the thing about the cages. I was at the border in 2015 during the Obama administration. Children were in those cages for a reason. And if the Biden administration wanted that stopped, they could have stopped it day one. I yield back and now recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Moskowitz, for 5 minutes for his question.
Chairman, is it in order now for me to enter things into the record?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what I was trying to enter into the record is the article from Newsweek saying Trump's ICE director doesn't care about families separated at the border. Mr. Holman, the correct quote is, "I'm sick and tired of hearing about family separation. I'm still being sued over that. I don't give a shit," right? I'd also like to enter into the record this article saying internal emails show ICE agents struggling to substantiate Trump's lies about immigrants.
So ordered without objection.